Hi there and welcome to my channel, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about Nolubabalo Nobanda. And the story was quite huge back in December 2011, and it was so huge that it didn't just make South African headlines, it made international headlines. And I really enjoy this story because it serves as a precaution that this can happen to anyone. And there are about 720 South Africans stuck in prison worldwide, and about 70% are in jail for drug-related offenses, and those are just the reported cases. Babalo was born in 1989 in Grahamstown in the Eastern Cape. Her father worked as a factory worker in Cape Town, and her mother worked as a cleaner in a high school. She attended Victoria Girls High School in Grahamstown, and it's a very good school. And after she finished high school, she was accepted into Wits, and she moved to Joburg to go study at the University of the Witwatersrand. However, when she was studying there, she came into some financial difficulties, and this forced her to drop out of school. After she dropped out, she moved back home to Grahamstown, and she found a job as a court interpreter at a magistrate court. So she had reached a limbo in her life where she had just dropped out of university, and she had a job that wasn't paying really well, and she had a friend that she'd known for a very long time, but they'd gotten very close the previous year. And this friend was like, let's go to Brazil just to get your mind off things, because she was very stressed, she was vulnerable, she didn't have money. And the friend is like, let's go to Brazil just to get your mind off things, and it's an all expenses paid trip, let's go and have fun. Nolubabalo accepted this offer, and they were set to go to Brazil in December 2011. This friend left 2 days early because she had to go to Brazil and fix out some work issues, and Nolubabalo followed her to Brazil 2 days later. The first signs of trouble started when she landed in Brazil, when a man fetched her at the airport and a friend was nowhere to be seen, and this man told her that her friend had sent her to come and fetch her and everything was fine. So she went with the man, and everything seemed to be going well with the holiday, and she actually called her mom to ask her if she wanted anything from Brazil, and the mom said no, she didn't want anything. So everybody thought she was just in Brazil having fun. It seemed like she was enjoying her trip to Brazil. Now problems started when the holiday was over and it was time to buy tickets to come back to South Africa, but no, they were buying tickets to Thailand. And she was shocked because she was on a trip to Brazil and she had no idea that they were going to Thailand. She asked the people she was with why they were buying tickets to Thailand. They told her, no, we have to go deliver this package to Thailand. And I think that's when it became immediately clear to her what this all expense paid trip to Brazil was for. So now she either had two choices. She could either call back home and tell them what was happening and ask for help, or even go to a police station or go to an embassy and ask for help, or she could deliver this package to Thailand and never have contact with these people ever again. And she chose to do that. She chose to deliver the package to Thailand, and she said when she gets back home she doesn't want anything to do with these people anymore. So since she chose to deliver the package, she had to swallow the cocaine. I don't know if you guys know how drugs are smuggled, but usually they force people to swallow cocaine. They wrap them around in little pellets and then they force them to swallow. So before I started doing research on this case, I thought maybe they forced them to swallow like 10 or 15 pellets, but no, they forced them to swallow up to 70 pellets, and that's a lot. So she was told to swallow these pellets, however she couldn't swallow them, and this is how she got her infamous dreadlocks. The people she was with decided to give her these dreadlocks, and these dreadlocks were wrapped around cocaine. There were about 30 pieces of cocaine in her head, and she says that she was in excruciating pain. So now it was time to go to Thailand. They left Brazil. She got through customs fairly well. Nobody saw anything, nobody recognized anything. But trouble started when they got to Thailand in Bangkok. When she got to the airport in Bangkok, she was stopped by 2 Thai officials and asked her to come into a room so that they can search her. And when they did a body search and they searched her clothes, her suitcase and everything, and they didn't find anything, so they let her go. And as she was about to leave the airport, another Thai official noticed white substance on her hair. Now the Thai official initially thought it was some dandruff on her hair, but she quickly realized that it was cocaine. When they started undoing her dreads, they quickly found the cocaine underneath her dreadlocks. The Thai officials quickly called in a media briefing, and this is where this infamous video was taken. And she says that she was in a daze when this video was being taken, and she really doesn't remember anything from this moment. After they removed her dreadlocks, they found about 1.2 kilograms of cocaine with an estimated value of 1.2 million rands. Now that's a lot of drugs, and usually the penalty for carrying so many drugs in Thailand is the death penalty. So her trial quickly began and she was sentenced to life in prison in a Thai prison, but her sentence was reduced to 30 years because she was very cooperative. She confessed that she had actually committed the crime, and she told Thai officials that she had been hired to deliver the drugs to a client in a Bangkok hotel. And through an amnesty program, her sentence was later reduced from 30 years to 15 years. Life in prison was very hard for her, as you can imagine, being stuck in a foreign prison. You don't know the language, you don't know the people, you don't look anything alike than anyone else. But Nolubabalo is a fighter. She was able to quickly adjust and she learned the language quickly. She actually got a degree in communications in UNISA while she was still in prison, and she would give speeches online to Nelson Mandela University students. I'm gonna leave a link to one of the speeches she gave, and I think it's a really good watch. Another thing that helped her get through her time in prison is that there were actually 11 other South Africans stuck in the same prison with the same charges, and she became really good friends with Tano Pendu in the Thai prison, and Utano is also another famous drug smuggling case. South Africa doesn't have a prisoner transfer treaty, so that means if you're locked up abroad, there's really no chance of you coming back home until your sentence is finished. So there's an NGO called Locked Up in a Foreign Country, and what they do is they determine if that person is actually a victim of human trafficking and not actually a criminal. So they were able to determine that she was actually a victim of human trafficking and she was not actually a criminal, and she was taken advantage of and forced into drug smuggling, and this organization was able to help her. This organization appointed her a lawyer, and they were able to prove that she was a victim of human trafficking, and after 7 years in a Thai prison, she was released in August 2019. When news broke that Nolubabalo was going to be released from prison, she was met with mixed reactions. Some people were happy, some people were saying she was a criminal, and in September 2019 she came back home. When she arrived home, she was met with mixed views. Some people say she did the crime, she must do the time. Some people are saying, why are we celebrating a criminal? And she says that she actually understood why people had these views. A couple of days after she came back home, she gave a really interesting interview with Checkpoint. I'm gonna leave a link to that interview. I suggest that you guys watch it. And now, since she's been home, she says that she wants to educate people on how you can fall victim to human trafficking, and I think it's a really good idea. And I can imagine how hard it is for her to adjust after spending 7 years in a foreign country, and I hope she's doing well. A couple of things I found interesting about this case when I was doing some research is that when the case first broke in 2011, this friend that introduced her to this drug smuggling ring was actually mentioned. So if you go back to articles back in 2011, you can actually find this friend and you can find her name. But when she came back last year in September, she was refusing to name this person, and she said that these people are very dangerous people and she doesn't want to mention any of these people's names. Another interesting thing I found is an interview that her lawyer gave last year in September, and the lawyer was saying that they'd actually given authorities in South Africa information about the people that introduced her to the drug smuggling ring. Police officials said they were going to investigate the information, but nothing really came out of that investigation. And the lawyer said that one of the police officials who he gave his statement to actually had a missing pinky finger. So that was, so I'm also going to leave a link to that interview, and I think you guys should check that interview out. It's very interesting. So that's the end of this case. If you did enjoy this video, please like and subscribe. Thank you very much.